Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be going over the evolution of my old comic Sparks and how it will be changing in the new webtoon version coming out in April. In third grade, a lot of people in my school and my sisters started making comics, and because I saw it and I thought it was cool, I decided to make my own. So my first comic I made was in third grade, and it was called Stars of War. This is how it looks. The comic had very bad art, but the storyline was not completely thought out. It had these are the main characters. This was Cece, this was Julie, and this was Anna. And I haven't at this point I didn't really figure out what I wanted to do with the story, so it's very different from the new one now. When I was 9 years old, I decided to take comicking a little bit more serious and started studying art and making my art style look better. So I decided to revamp Stars of War and I changed the name to Sparks. It turned into a story about magical girls who are fighting these evil people called the Leams, and this is how it looked. A lot of the character designs changed, like the characters actually looked black, and a lot of the art was much better from just a few months later. The premise of this new idea was that Cece, the main character, was driving home from ballet class when she meets Zara, a gobblesnuffer, who was sent from another planet to make her become a magical girl along with her friends. Here are some pages. The series continued for 3 more books, but the second one I lost. And I feel like this is around where the plot of Sparks actually began to build, and I started to get a more understanding. This is book 3 of Sparks. I made it around 2019. Around this point, I made some more prominent story arcs, but the problem is they were never foreshadowed in the first book, so a lot of stuff that happened kind of made no sense. I also added 2 new characters, one named Crystal and the other one named Yora, but she's not in the scene right here. I added those 2 new characters to give the cast like more magical powers, and I actually gave the villains more depth. I added point of views from their side and it made the people reading it see how they saw stuff. Then around late 2019, I decided that I wanted this series to become something a little bit more and have better story and better arcs and even sometimes like better art. So I put down this book and ended it here and decided that for 2020 I was going to rewrite the story and redraw it and do everything over again. This is the Sparks revamped comic I made in 2020 in around March 20th. So this comic, I decided to go with alcohol-based markers to make it look prettier and to give off that manga effect. I'll say this comic had a better drawings, but the plot was actually worse than the ones I made when I was younger. It focused too much on situations that weren't as serious and dragged out a lot of scenarios for much longer than they needed to be. Also, stuff were explained in a way that people would understand or pick up easily, and there was just a lot of clutter with this comic. It might have been the one with the best art, but overall, it was one of the worst stories. And that's where it ends. That's the most recent Sparks comic I made. Now, what's gonna happen to Sparks in 2022? I decided that for the final time, I'm gonna redo it. I changed a lot of aspects of the plot. Like in the original, they went to just a regular school. In this one, I made them go to a boarding school for some comic reasons. And also, I changed a lot of the people's character designs. This is how some of the new character designs look. I decided that for the new comic, I'm not only going to base it off of manga drawing style, I decided to take aspects from other art styles because I feel like it would make the comic look more fun to not just stick to one base. I also wrote out the script to make it formatted better and decided to start foreshadowing scenarios in the first book that I plan on coming back to in like book 3 and 4. These are some storyboard and concept art I have for book 2. I'm hoping on having the comic released by April 15 or around summertime between those times. And I'm also hoping on sticking with it the whole way through and not giving up on the comic when I feel like my art is not good enough or the story is not leading where I want it to be. I'll continue it still. I will say the new story has changed a lot. The original took place on Earth, but in the new one, I made a whole entire new planet with a new culture and new stuff for it to seem more distinct from just like regular human Earth. Now each character has their own story and arc going behind them on why they hate the Leams and why they want to defeat them. Also, I kept the name Leams because it was just something I had for too long and I couldn't change it. Every time I changed it, it wouldn't stick with. I wouldn't stick with it. Here's a bit about the plot of the new one. In the new one, the characters go to a boarding school that flies because they're trying to be protected or guarded away from the Leams because the Leams want to kill them and want to get rid of them. So they go to a boarding school that flies because they travel around different countries and different areas of the world. That way they're hidden because if you're always moving, they can't really find you easily. The main character is sent to a boarding school one day when she finishes 8th grade, and there is where she meets Zara, and all the shenanigans happens of her becoming a magical girl and her finding friends and stuff like that. Also, the reason why she has to be protected from the Leams is because, like I said, I think I said she's a SOT, which is SOTE. Basically, if people who are born between this certain time frame when all the planets are in order, they are able to get magical abilities that no one else has. And because she has the magical abilities, she has a higher chance of defeating the evil people. So the evil people don't want her to like defeat them. They want to kill off all the Sots, that way it will be easier for them to take over all the planets around. I would explain more of the plot, but I don't want to spoil it, so that's all for now. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and check out my Instagram and my TikTok. Bye!